Live.
All right, welcome back, everyone. A little after 2 o'clock on May 14th, and we're doing a little bit more work on the reports repeal bill with Tucker Anderson. And what we are focusing on and honing in right now is the letter that goes out, memo that goes out to the other committees to initiate the work. A better way of putting it. So, Council, how are you?
I am fantastic. Good afternoon. For the record, Tucker Anderson, Legislative Counsel. So I believe you have in front of you your committee survey. You have a work order that the committee worked on and that the hardworking and excellent Autumn put together for you. And I am about to bring up the standard memo that goes to all the committees so that you all have an opportunity to review it. Tell me anything that you think needs to change in the memo, and then select a due date to be incorporated into the memo so that you can start sending surveys out to committees now, if that is what you would like to do. So it is up on the screen in front of you. This memo is also posted to the committee page for the last hearing that you had on this. Working through the first two paragraphs, cite the statute that is involved here that contains the expression of the General Assembly's intent to repeal, including the exact language of the statute. Committees will be able to review that and see where the mandate for this work comes from. It then goes on to state that in the attached spreadsheet, they will see the survey for the reports for years 2017 through 2028 that their committee is intended to review. There is then a reassurance paragraph. Stay calm, or keep calm and carry on. It states that if the reporting requirement is repealed, the information that the report provides will remain available to the committees pursuant to committee request. So it's what we discussed earlier. Legislative committees can always reach out to the state agencies seeking information, and you do have investigative authority to ask for reports, written testimony, or to have officers appear before your committee to testify on whatever the underlying issue is. It states that there should be no reduction in accountability for any state agency. And in bold, the question is whether this ongoing report is necessary for legislative work. That's the key consideration that you are asking all of the other legislative committees to assess.
I'm really sorry, Tucker, but I had your language in an email somewhere. Can't read it on screen. Do you? Can you have Autumn post it?
I posted.
Thank you. Post it to today? Okay, great, thank you.
The memo then goes on to suggest the question that the committees should be asking themselves. Have you used and will you need to use these reports in legislative decisions? Is it important and fundamental to the work that you're doing? It asks the committees to review the spreadsheet and identify the reports that they need, and then describes the columns. 1, the report is no longer useful and should be repealed. 2, the report is useful, but maybe not permanently important and should be reviewed in 5 years. The report is fundamental and therefore should be permanently required. Okay. Then we have the mandate. Please return the survey to GOMA by a date in 2025, or could be 2026 if you want to kick this out to January of next session. So for example, January 15th would be a somewhat standard date that the committees would probably be familiar with. It warns the committees that if they don't respond by whatever deadline the committee chooses, that will be taken to mean that the requirement should be repealed. So silence means it gets taken away. All right. And we'll do a little live editing here. We will then prepare the 2026 reports repeal bill to reflect committee feedback. Is there anything that should be changed, added, struck from what we just went through? If this goes out along with the suggested workflow that you all put together, probably covers this fairly comprehensively.
Well, it's good.
So we've identified a few committees that, with the help of chairs and others who would be amenable to receiving this memo, because some committees are busier than others right now. But Tucker has also flagged for us that there might be an issue with those committees. Would you like to discuss what the issue is, Tucker?
Sure. And the issue is not an ongoing issue. It's just a temporary issue of catching up on the work of building all the surveys, which is that some of those committees have changed in their identity, name, scope of work multiple times since these reports were entered into the database. The references in statute are all likely to former committees that no longer exist. So compiling some of those surveys might take a little bit more time. I've already worked my way through one, but it kind of requires reorganization, focusing on what the report concerns rather than who was supposed to receive it in order to build the surveys. So it will take slightly longer to prepare some of them. That's the issue that I've flagged.
Our water's out.
Do we need to send these all to all the committees at once, or can we just do it as soon as they're ready?
In the past, these all went out at the same time, and that was just because of time sensitivity, right? They went out in the first week of the second year of the biennium. And you had less than a month to receive responses and start preparing the bill in order to actually get all of the work done. So all the surveys went out at the exact same time, but there is nothing stopping you from trickling these out with, for example, the January 15th deadline next year.
And sending them out now at the end of this session.
Yes, yep.
I think we should do that.
Yeah,
And then, however, as they're completed, as it's figured out who needs what, then we can just send it to that specific committee. We need to.
yeah, and the speaker has 3 committees that she requested be
The first.
receive this first. Yes.
Great. Which ones are they?
Agriculture, environment, and energy.
And they're the ones that have changed.
They are probably the most complex with how their
Right.
jurisdictions have shifted. Correct. So, are we comfortable with the words on the page with memorandum, with the date changes and et cetera?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Please
The
fire away.
first sentence says, please return the survey to House Goma by, and then the date. Failure to respond by should be a different date, will be
Don't
taken
they?
to mean, I would think.
Oh, down there, he said.
Yeah,
first
the
line. That was
second
way at the top of the page.
section.
Yeah.
Second sentence, rather. Because we want the surveys back, but we want a drop dead date where we know that nobody's gonna send us a link survey. Right?
I mean, giving this to the committees to work on now, we don't do the bills on next biennium or next session anyway. So Jan 15 seemed okay in my mind because it would still provide a little bit of working opportunity for folks to dial it in once we come back.
Okay,
But
so. you
also
want
if they
them
were
both.
ambitious about the summer, you know.
I feel like if you give people a grace period, they are not going to listen to the first date.
January 16th is the last day of that week instead of the 15th, do it on a Friday.
Good call.
I guess one day isn't gonna make a difference, so I'm good with January
Yeah, I agree.
15th, if that sticks in people's minds better than the 16th.
I appreciate the calendar awareness. So is the committee okay with that?
So So I guess that's your direction, Tucker, January 15th, 2026 and January 15th, 2026.
Got it.
We understand the assignment.
It is in the memo. So the way that I'll proceed is that as the surveys are completed, I'll bundle them with a memo and let you all know that they're ready. And when I get a thumbs up, I'll go out to the committees of jurisdiction.
What about the return of them? How does that happen? Do they go to the committee assistant? Do they go to You?
Typically, it goes to the chair and with legislative counsel copied so that I can collate all the responses and prepare the draft.
Does that say that anywhere here, how to return it?
That typically is included in the email that goes to the
Okay.
chairs of the committee with bolded, highlighted. In email, we can do the highlighting. The memos get posted to the committee pages. We don't like to be so, I don't know, bold.
So we're like the repository for the feedback to develop the bill.
In the first paragraph, legislative counsel is spelled as in an attorney. And in the second letter D, small letter D, it's spelled the old way, counsel meaning an office. Is that intentional?
It probably was intentional at the time the memo was put together because that was copied directly from statute, which perhaps had not been updated to reflect the new name yet. But I'm checking 2 VSA section 15 now to see if we have technically corrected the name. And we have.
All right.
And I have another question about. I'm gonna hold that for a minute. I want to think about this. For a second. Back to it. Thanks. Do you have anything else while I'm thinking?
I mean, the structure of this, having not really like run the gauntlet start to finish on this exercise during my legislative tenure, I mean, I'm just kind of working on updating the previous structure, so
Right,
it seems logical to me, but again, I haven't done this.
Right, so I guess I have another question for Tucker. Since we're actually going to be writing a bill, should we flag to include in the bill or to include in the policy decisions that when a committee's jurisdiction is changed, the reporting structure also be changed? So if a committee is environment and farms, and then farms gets moved to agriculture, and it's a farming report that instead of being delivered to the environment committee, it now be delivered to the farming committee.
You're asking whether that should be reflected in the memo?
In the bill that we're gonna write in 2026.
Yes, that is something you could do. I will note that in the summer following some of these changes, at the legislative level with the administrative bureaucracy you have for the committees, legislative council is already directed to update the Vermont statutes to correct references to the committees. So all of those provisions should be updated this summer during statutory revision.
Oh, okay.
However, if they are not, yes, you could add that technical correction to the reports are built up.
Y'all, did I see a hand pop up before?
Nope, I had my question answered. You did, but
All right. So we have an understanding what we need to do as a committee, getting this prepared to get out to the 3 committees that the speaker requested, get the information sooner. And then we will hit the other committees of jurisdiction. So when we got 1 + 3 is 4, there's 14 of us, there's 10 of us left. Counting that, we have 14 committees of jurisdiction in the House of Representatives, the state of Vermont at this moment. That of course is not, what do we do about like LCAR?
Good question.
I'm not certain if they receive reports.
Yeah,
If they do, they will be accounted for in surveys. I know that, for example, the Joint Fiscal Committee is included in the reports repeal survey because they're designated as a recipient of reports. So JITOC, as it was formerly, it's not JITOC anymore, it's something else now. But that joint committee also receives reports, so was formerly included. There's a joint, I can't remember if it's healthcare, I think it is healthcare committee that exists that also receives reports. So the trigger for ending up with the survey is that somewhere in the reports repeal database, the committee is listed as the recipient of a statutorily required report.
gotcha. Burden understood.
I don't remember LCAR, but
Yeah, I mean, I know, or whatever, yeah. Having the brakes on my thoughts.
It could go down a number of rabbit holes.
Self-aware.
tapping the brakes with tap shoes on.
Of song.
So we somehow need to divide up. Has anybody counted?
Just 19.
19, and we have 11 committee members. And some people want to work in a team.
Yeah, but I didn't,
Other people don't like working in teams.
well, let's see, I think like with right now, we could probably let people like marinate on like what we're gonna
Okay.
figure out how to chop that stuff up later.
It's actually less than 2 reports per individual, so that's doable. It's a lot better than having to do 4 or 5 each, which I was worried about. So
So, I mean,
you don't want to do that now?
no, well, we've got a couple of other things creeping up to get an understanding of some things on the 3 o'clock. Primary focus with this too was like, yes, our workload with this, but understanding us as the hub. And then getting the memo squared away so I can get the information. The other things. That's why I have more.
Okay, so as Tucker develops the spreadsheet of reports for each committee, how is that gonna work? He'll tell Autumn. And do we get copied on that? Yeah, so Tucker, as you develop the spreadsheet for each committee, will you copy us on the email to, do you send the email or does Autumn send it on behalf of us? How does that all work?
I typically communicate with the chair of the committee that's receiving the survey, and I copy the chair
Okay,
of this committee. And I also copy the attorneys that typically staff whatever the committee is, and the committee assistant for that committee. Make sure that there's broad awareness that the survey is being officially sent by House GovOps to, for example, energy and digital infrastructure, and that it is on their radar that the survey is out, there's a deadline, and what their resources are.
I would find it helpful maybe if our committee assistant is also copied on it. So we can say, hey, Autumn, which report has gone out?
I will do that.
Thank you.
Cool. Does anybody else have anything formally for this conversation right now? All right. Well, this is a big project that we started earlier in the year, so I actually feel kind of staying ahead of these things.